So over the past couple of months, I have finally been finding some companies that I really want to invest in long term. I really talked a lot on this channel for the past couple of years about trading, which is something I love. It's something I do full time, and it's been my profession for 8 years. But I've been really trying to find some companies that I think are significantly undervalued and start taking some long term positions in them. Now, the one thing that I really say a lot on this channel is that you can have a really solid company, but you can overpay for it. That's just across the board. And there have been a lot of solid companies that I really love, but there's have not been anywhere near a price that I want to get in at. Now, if you guys remember a couple of weeks ago, I think I did a video on GoodRx talking about the cash secured puts that I sold on them that I ended up closing out after GoodRx ripped nearly 50% in a couple of days, which has sold back down to where it was. I'm going to do an updated video on that. But one of the videos and one of the other stocks that I was looking at is Meta. And so what I'm going to talk about in this video is the price I would be looking to buy Meta at, the cash secured puts that I'm looking to reopen because I closed some out a couple of weeks ago for a very solid profit, and ultimately why I'm coming to the valuation that I'm coming to. And ultimately, if the market goes and makes a lower low, which it looks like it could, where do I think Meta will be going on a massive time frame? So hit the like button, subscribe, check out our Discord community down below. The link is in the description. You guys get access to free courses, free live streams, free seminars, free webinars. We have a whole long-term chat section over there that I'm constantly hanging out in, and then we have a lot of other people in. I share a lot of these types of videos and a lot of this information over there, as well as all of my price targets for companies I'm watching long term. And you can see I have Meta here at 150 or lower. So if you don't want to watch the whole video, Meta 150 and below is like my sweet spot for buying. But if you want to know the exact strategy that I'm going to be using, the option strategy that I'm going to be looking to do, and why I've come to that price point, then sit in and let's get started. So looking at Meta, I'm not going to talk too much about how great the company is and why I like the company so much. I've done that in other videos. We don't have to go over the market cap or anything like that, as well as the income statement and the balance sheet. I've done that plenty times before, and it is a really, really solid company. Now, when I look at the future of the company, I do think that they are moving heavily away from social media, more towards the metaverse, and I do think that when we are analyzing a social media company, which that's still what they are right now, that we're running it off of kind of the wrong metrics at this very moment because we don't have other metrics to run it off of. This company is really, it's kind of like when we were, the best way to explain it, it's kind of like when we were only focusing on iPhone sales for Apple through like 2017 to 2020 and 2021. The biggest driver for the company when you look at a sales metric was iPhone growth. And as less phones were being sold because there's less reason to upgrade your phone because kind of hit that technological top, the company had to pivot and move towards wearables and other ways of income such as services. Then once we started realizing that, oh, this is that market that they can make up the difference in and that they can really start to scale, that's when we started seeing us focus a lot on those metrics and less on those iPhone sales, which iPhone sales are still doing well. And I think the same thing for Meta. We look a lot at daily monetizable users, we look at daily active users, and then we look at user growth, which those numbers have not really been doing too well over past quarters. And in my opinion, I don't think we'll fare too well over the next couple of years. But I do think the company is at a point where it's trying to pivot. As we see, they've changed the name, they've done a lot of things, and I think that that is the future of the company. So when we look at the numbers as to why 150 is, in my opinion, something that would be a very good steal long-term for this, we're going to go through and use the stock analyzer tool by Everything Money. And if we look, revenue growth over the past 10 years is 40%, the past 5 years is 25%, and the past 1 year is 14%. As I look forward to the next 10 years, as the company grows bigger and bigger and bigger, we're going to see revenue grow lower and lower and lower. So I'm just going to say 8, and then we're going to look at 10, 12. If we look at profit margins, I think we're going to get, let's just say 15, 20, and 25 on the high side, 20, 25. If we look at free cash flow, let's go with something like 20, 25, 30. PE, let's look at 15, 20, 25, 15, 20, 25, and then a 15% desired return, because for me, I at least need a 15% return, to be quite honest. So if you think that the latter is going to happen, the high side is going to happen, anything under $300 right now is a solid buy. If you think the medium is going to happen, 182 and below is a solid buy. And if you look at the left side, which is the lowest possible, assumptions, anything under 100 is like a good deal. And if you look at where Meta's trading right now, this is a weekly chart. We're really, really solid at this point. We're all the way down at 159. If we just go back and look at the 52-week range, you can see highs of 384, lows of 154. So we are down near those lows. Now, if you're long-term investing, charts normally should not matter to you, but I'm always watching the weekly and the monthly charts. For me, weekly and monthly charts, if I'm long-term investing, is extremely important, because even if you're a value investor, in my opinion, you should still be watching the psychological movements behind that. And if you look at this setup and where we're at right now on Meta, you can see that there is a good support right here at like 158/150 level. Multiple times we have bounced here. Each one of these candles is 1 month. So please remember, every single time that we have bounced off of this level, we have held. Now, one other thing to note is that we have this major trend line moving up here to, all the way up for years and years and years. And we, for the first time, basically since 2013, since IPO, for the first time ever, we have broken that downtrend. Multiple times before, we have bounced off of that downtrend, but we have fully broken that downtrend. And the scarier thing on this big time frame, which I'm not saying will happen, but I want you to understand, is this demand zone. You can see right here, like the 150s to 160s, we'll call it 160. This demand zone, there is nothing below 160 all the way down to 100. So if we were to consolidate and hold, and the market could make a lower low, which I think can happen, I still think SPY can hit 350. There is a chance that we will see Meta drop down to 120, 125, and maybe $100, which is another 36% fade, which is why normally, anything under 180 is a solid move. But for me, I'm really looking at 150 to 125 to 100, which is where I really want to get in for Facebook / Meta. Now, a lot of you guys might be saying, well, if you like the company, just buy it. Don't try to time it. And I completely agree normally. But for me, if value investing in a company, if all of the numbers, the worst case numbers, are correct, it's a no-brainer. So for me, like, if I can get it down at 125, I will throw everything not everything I have into one company, but I will put a lot of money into it, because I highly believe that that is an insane price. So what I'm going to be doing is cash secured puts. Cash secured puts, I think, is one of the best ways to really enter long-term positions while collecting a premium. Now, of course, if you don't have 15 G's, then you're not going to be able to do this. But you can just go ahead and set a limit order and then decide to enter on this whenever you want long term. But if you are somebody who does have 15 grand or more and you want to sell cash secured puts, to me, this is the best way to do it. Now, some things I'm going to be looking at is cash secured puts for like 125 for December, and then maybe even $100. And so I'm going to look at these options. If we go and we look at December 16th and we were to sell a put, what I want to do is look at an option contract price that I would love to buy long term, right? I don't use Robinhood. I'm just setting this up because I feel that when I'm teaching, the user interface is usually one of the easiest things that you can possibly use or possibly have. So I'm going to move my face out of the way so it's easier for you guys to see. And we're going to look at a price I think that I would love to grab long term. Now, the first one that comes up is going to be that 150. That 150 price point right here, you can see this is what I was initially saying. If you were to sell this cash secured put, you can see that the chance of profit is 66%. So that means there's a 66% chance that Meta will close above $150 by December 16th. Now, if you were to sell this cash secured put, you would end up making $1,215 within the next 3 months, as long as it closes above 150. If it closes below 150, you get to keep the $1,200, but you have to buy 100 shares of Facebook down at 150. Not bad at all, to be quite honest. Like, if you're someone who thinks that 150 is a solid buy, that's a great way to chase a high premium, a very solid premium, right? Nearly 10%. And on top of that, get filled at some good shares. Now, if you want to go something safer for a 125, you can see that at 125, there's an 80% chance of profit, which is very, very nice. And with this, if it closes above 125, which you have an 80% chance of profit, you're going to make $480. So significantly less, $700 less than if you were to do the 150, but you have a much better chance of profit. So worst comes to worst, if it closes below 140, which means that Meta would have to drop another 20% over the next 3-4 months, you would end up getting that premium $500 and get to buy 100 shares at 125. If you want to go with the super safe route, you would sell a $100 put. This would be an 86% chance of profit, and you'd only make $248. So you would make less than 2% return on your money, but you would get to buy for $110, which is just absolutely insane. So you can see that if you go with closer to the money, your premium is going to be much higher. But if it does drop to like $125, that would be best case scenario, because you get to buy those shares at 125 and you get to keep the $500 and something per contract. So I'll keep you posted. If I get into a position this week or next week, I will post it here and within the Discord. But for me, I'm going to probably be selling some 130s or 125s. Just something to think about, guys. Let me know in the comment section what you think, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.